Yeah, look, I never came this far to quick, get rich, I trying. You ain't never seen survival mode, I stick with lions. Ever conform, I've been defined. Pressure makes a diamond. Started broke with a drive in the car, we can end up giants. Yo, I ain't really in the mix, in and out whips, in and out of bits. I'm trying to hide my face, I need to get tint. Listen to my gut, it ain't never miss. How's it gonna work if you ain't try to commit? Baby on the line, tell her how it is. We ain't never kiss until we get rich. I don't want a son with 9 in the fridge. I have him on the block doing what I did. Push it, turn me off, hit the bass. Me and A gang crave, this one never luck, I tell him it was fake. A marathon, not a race, took a lot of L's, but never let it break me. Look back, it amazed me. Progression game crazy. Wait, run it back, run it back. Tell them run it back, the grind embedded. See myself get booked for like 100 grand. Understand, before I've been a man, no, I've been a man. The world ain't seen what God has planned. Focus on what we expand, let's run it back, run it back. Tell them run it back, the grind embedded. See myself get booked for like 100 grand. Understand, before I've been a man, no, I've been a man. The world ain't seen what God has planned. Focus on what we expand. Man ain't on no payroll, so I'm up and these A-rolls. Another meeting as the day goes, trying to shine like I was Quavo. Scrap attention, trying to lay low when I'm focused, I'm in game mode. That piece of paper with a queen's face, trying to obtain those. Grind throughout my 20s and my 30s, I need bigger checks. Man, I'm winning now, we want longevity, we took them steps. Read and put yourself around a team, you'll see some big effects. Started broke, but trying to turn them tables, DJs on the decks. Comparison ain't right, thought I'd be rich when I was 25. But God, I'm grateful I'm alive, there's younger angels in the sky. Another day above the ground, that pressure, thought we gonna apply. Straight into the game, build a demand, and I'ma go supply. Run it back, run it back. Tell them run it back, the grind embedded. See myself get booked for like 100 grand. Understand, before I've been a man, no, I've been a man. The world ain't seen what God has planned. Focus on what we expand, let's run it back, run it back. Tell them run it back, the grind embedded. See myself get booked for like 100 grand. Understand, before I've been a man, no, I've been a man. The world ain't seen what God has planned. Focus on what we expand.
Welcome to the Barz and Conversations podcast. I go by the name of Chief from Small Green Shoots, and today I'm going to be interviewing the talented artist, Bonez.
Thank you for having me. You know what I'm saying? Go by the name of Bonez, real rap with a touch of bounce, coming from East London. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Nice to see you today. We're just going to be talking about cultural appropriation. Just to like celebrate Black History Month as well.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah,
definitely.
So can you introduce yourself, like what you do as well?
So like I said, my name is Bonez. I feel like I just pull out some real rap, do you know what I'm saying? I really try and find a way though to make it, because obviously I feel like a lot of times when people do real rap, they just have it where it's not as enjoyable. I aim to make enjoyable music. That's why I call it real rap with a touch of bounce. Like you can vibe to it, you can really sit down and listen to it as well, do you know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like I'm just trying to cater it to everyone, but give them some music that can really push you, motivate you, make you want to chase your dreams, or make you just uplift yourself and know your worth, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely, man. I like that. So in your own words, how would you define cultural appropriation?
In my words, I feel like I define it as taken from other cultures and such in a way, but not having the respect and being like paying homage how it should be. Do you know what I'm saying? Like just using it to because it's trending or whatever to push your thing, but not actually. Some people don't even actually like it, but they just know that it will get them there if they use it. So it's more like, I feel like it's more or less using cultures and just like not paying the right respect and homage, really.
Yeah, I agree with that, certainly. So do you think there's a fine line between cultural appreciation and appropriation, and how you do define that?
I definitely say there's a fine line. Like I said, with the respect and homage, but I feel like it goes from the person in it, whether they taken the time to like have, I don't know, gain a bit of knowledge about it, to show that they actually have real interest in it, even just to acknowledge what they're doing and how they act it out. And just like I said, man, like not using it in a way where it helps you get to a certain position. Like there's some people that you can see have another culture in them, but you don't feel like it's forcing it. Do you know what I mean? Like I'll say, for example, like a white yardie, like no one can chat to him because you can tell, I don't know his background, but you could tell that he's probably grew up around it. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas if someone else done it, but they done it in a way where you can tell like you're just doing this, you know what I'm saying, to get a laugh or whatever, that's where disrespect comes in. That's how I see it.
I agree with that, definitely, man. And And have you had like any personal experience with it or seen it in your career?
Do you know what? I feel like everyone, especially my age, must have, because I feel right now like rap, Afro beats, hip hop, they're like pop now. But growing up for man, this wasn't pop. Do you know what I'm saying? So when we're kids and stuff, I feel like a lot of people were kind of like, I don't know, they wasn't as proud of their culture. Do you know what I mean? Like I know like probably even like girls, like black girls, I feel like for years people were saying like discrediting them, I feel, in a type of way. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm sure all their toys were probably like white girls with blonde hair and do you know what I mean? And people trying to put bad names on like black girls that are ugly and whatnot, to the point where it had black men saying it, do you know what I'm saying? Which is like obviously disgusting, you know what I mean? So obviously they built up a certain self-love and value that I feel like there's more, they deserve a lot more, but it's still to a level now where you can't say that. Do you know what I mean? And even growing up for man, I feel like I know a lot of African like kids that used to say they were Jamaican and stuff, do you know what I mean? From Caribbean. But now Afrobeats is huge. So I'm sure kids ain't doing that. They're proud to say, like, I'm Ghanaian, I'm Nigerian, you know what I'm saying? So I just feel like the way the industry moves, but I feel like what I don't like about our culture is that, like, I don't know if I say don't like, but I feel like we're so willing to let anyone come in, and if anything, when they're from another culture, we even give them a boost sometimes. Like, I'll say like white rappers, don't get twisted, there's some cold white rappers in it. Benny, Potter, do you know what I'm saying? But there's some men that are average, but we even like, because they got the look, we'll push them up, do you know what I mean? Like, we'll give them more, then we'll push our brothers and sisters, you know what I'm saying? And even on a whole deeper level, like, we got rappers that are like obviously flashy and cool, but these lot are signed, and most of the big labels, they're not owned by us, you know what I mean? They're owned from people outside the culture, and these people are making crazy money. I know people that's been in certain rooms, and a lot of these people don't even respect the culture, you know? But they just know they can make money from it, do you know what I'm saying? But they don't have no respect. Like, they just look at us and they're laughing, but we're giving them, do you know what I'm saying? So unless we're able to go into other cultures and make them kind of powerful moves, then I don't understand why we allow everyone to do it to us, you know what I'm saying?
Good thing. We need to like take ownership of our own.
Definitely ownership, 100%. We need certain ownership in this thing, I feel.
Yeah, that was a good one, man. So how can artists use other creative works in ethical manners, and when does it come like unethical? Would you say?
It's hard. Like, I can't really tell artists to be ethical in it. I feel like obviously, like I said, the homage and respect thing, like just making sure you're not using it just to boost your thing. Another example would probably be like 6ix9ine for me. Like, I feel like he just used the culture, do you know what I mean? Helped him get to a level, and then, you get me, turn his back when it got mad, do you know what I'm saying? So, like, yeah, people just tend to use the culture when they know that it can benefit them, and they would tend to be something. But it's like, if you really check this guy's background, this guy has no idea what he's talking about, do you know what I mean? He's literally overnight. So, yeah, that's why I feel like it's unethical.
So do you think people use the term too freely?
Like, yes and no, because like I said, it's pop now, so it happens more, innit? So it may be freely, but because it's happening so much, I feel like there's a thin line, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it happens so much that, of course, it might be, it's moving freely, but it might actually just be happening a lot, do you know what I mean? Like, we need to, I don't know, it's a hard one. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, cool. So what's your take on other cultures using the N-word in music?
Do you know what? I'm gonna be real, yeah? I feel like that word holds so much, like, pain, struggle. I feel like none of us should really use it, man. Just because of, like, how much, like, really and truly, for us to use it is either us being ignorant or being disrespectful because of what it comes with. Do you know what I mean? Like, if we really look at history, like, I feel like we should just, like, it's done, man. Just, like, leave it now. Do you know what I'm saying, personally?
Okay, cool, man. So I was gonna expand on that. So like, even like, you know, when you call like your friend like N-word, or you still think you shouldn't use it.
Do you know what? I understand using it in a way where it flips it now, innit? But I don't know, man. It's just like, I feel like we should just leave it now. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, there's other words we can use. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just so much that comes with it. Like, I just feel like it's just. You get me? I don't know. Yeah, man, because it's just a blur line now. That it just, you know what I'm saying?
It's true, definitely. So have you ever had to refrain from saying things or touching certain subjects in your music in fear of personal image?
Do you know what it is? Yeah, I feel like I don't tend to refrain from anything, but I feel like it's put me in a box that I don't even think I'm in. So I feel like because I'm someone that like talks about bettering yourself, chasing your dreams, being a man you want to be or the woman you want to be, people kind of put me in this like conscious rapper box. And even to so much people telling me that, I started to believe it. But when I actually look into it, like, I'm not a conscious rapper. I'm not a Carlo. You know what I mean? Them man there are gonna give you game in it. Them man there are gonna give you knowledge and they know their history. Even on a conversation like this, these men are gonna break it down to you on a whole another level. So I feel like I don't refrain from saying stuff, but it's put me in like this lane that I don't think I'm in, just because the norm is talking about selling drugs, violence. But because I'm not doing that, he must be conscious. You know what I mean? So I don't think I refrain from anything. I'll say anything that I see. Do you know what I'm saying? Especially in music, but I feel like it's just putting me in a box that I'm not really in. Do you know what I mean?
No, I do understand that. No, definitely. Have you ever thought that something has ever been over-exaggerated in terms of cultural appropriation in the music industry?
Do you know what? In the social media era, 100%, man. Like, things are trending that. It's just not that deep. There's a lot of more important things happening. But on the flip side of that, I will say, though, it's good sometimes to see some people get called out. Do you know what I'm saying? Because we can't just let anyone just, you know what I mean, just take the mic a while and we just like, leave it. So I do like seeing people get called out at times. I'm not going to lie. Do you know what I mean? But same way, like, there are more important things, you know what I'm saying? So there's probably blown up a couple times. Like, whatever's trending more time, it's not that deep. Do you know what I mean?
I agree with that. So what are your plans for the rest of the year as an artist, and where can we find you?
So obviously I wanted to really drop a project this year, but it's not looking like it's gonna happen just because I just want to get it perfect. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the music's basically done, but I've got so much ideas on how I want to execute it, and in order for me to do that, I just kind of need to like get things right in my own camp. I need to have the right team around me to do it. I don't think I could do it alone. And I just need to really I need to set the right mood. So for now, end of this year, I'm probably just going to like collaborate with artists, you know what I'm saying? Drop freestyles with artists. I might even drop another single, but I'm really like, I've got a special project there, man. It touches on so much things that I can't wait to release it. Yeah. But because of that, I don't want to just drop it and it's not given the right kind of backing, do you know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm doing. Obviously, you can find me everywhere, man. Blood and Bonez spelled with a Z on the end. That's Instagram, Twitter, everything. And all my music's on all streaming platforms. Bonez, Z on the N, not S, yeah.
Nice one, man. I was going to say, do you have like a title for your...
I do, man. I can't say it, man. I can't. Even the title, yeah. If you know what the title means, like, it's so... I can't say it. Because I don't want to take it, I'll be upset. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, like I got it, even when you hear the title and if you actually understand the meaning behind it, you'll understand why I'm trying to take this on serious. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I think you spoke about earlier on, which I want to touch on. It's that Best Life record that I heard from you. Had a feature on it as well.
Yeah, Ricky Banks.
Yeah, how did that like come about, man? Because that's a good song.
I appreciate that. Still, obviously, me and Ricky met each other at one show. Was both on Jay Riley's show. We just messed with each other energy and got in the booth and like literally, do you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I have this creative juice, I call it, innit? It's this dark rum mix that I got, you know. Gave it to Ricky, gave it to the producer, and we just all just caught a vibe. Like it was one of them ones that we just made it on the spot, and like it was a song that we've been sitting on for probably over a year now. Because of what happened, we wanted to drop it, but obviously COVID and that. But once we made it, I knew, do you know what I'm saying? I wanted to drop that. So we did get it out there. Has the whole Spanish vibe as well.
Yeah, that Spanish vibe's crazy,
like the mariachi band and that, do you know what I'm saying? It was a good shoot, man. I enjoyed it. I wanted to make it bigger, but like I said, man, so much like things going on right now, do you know what I mean? It's just taking still.
Yeah, man.
How about yourself? Do you got anything you want to drop soon?
Yeah, actually got an EP, you know. That I wanted to drop this year, but obviously the COVID and like it's just because the vibe how I done it. It was more of like a tropical holiday kind of thing. Okay. And where COVID came, it didn't match. You know what I mean? It wasn't. Facts. So I just, I think.
You saying you're just gonna hold on to it then?
Till next summer, definitely, man. But yeah.
Is that all produced by your boy?
Yeah, just me and my boy, literally going in on it, and literally.
That's a shout still. So have you been able to find like performances or anything?
find performances.
Yeah, like
Nah,
through
you
this.
know, nah, none really. Nah.
It's
And that's the
been
only
mad,
thing.
bro.
I've only performed like once.
Oh, so I don't.
Yeah, like in XOYO, Old
Yeah,
Street.
yeah.
Have you
Oh,
heard of
jeez,
it?
yeah. I like that spending still.
Did an open
Hold a
mic
lot of
there.
numbers still. Was there a lot of
Yeah.
people there?
Quite a lot, you know. Like for me, it was like roughly like 50 to like 70 people there.
Okay,
So like for me,
okay.
that's quite big,
Yeah,
innit?
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah.
How did you find it though?
I
I'm
was,
not gonna lie,
I was
yeah.
so nervous
Yeah,
before.
first performance,
yeah.
G, bro.
I was so nervous, but like as I got into it,
Mm.
I was like, this is not too bad, you know. Yeah.
I feel like
But like
the lead up is the worst. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's when you just don't know what to expect. But once you're in it, there's no going back in it.
yeah, that's the thing. You've had probably a lot of more experience than me. Like how do you like even like prepare for a show? Like
It varies, you know. Like even like last year, yeah. So I had 2 festivals last year, yeah.
oh wow.
All in like the space of a month. Now I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah, the first one it didn't go how I wanted it to go. Do you know what I mean?
Like,
Like,
why not?
there was a lot of like things going on behind the scenes with the people that I was on. Basically, like without even, I don't even know how much I can say. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like it was techie, innit? Do you know what I mean? There was a lot of things going on behind the scenes that was just a bit unfair, innit? But so I feel like once I done it, yeah, obviously people say, yeah, it was sick, but to me, I'm like, nah, like, do you know what I mean? So the next one, though, that's when I was like, I had to, everything that I done wrong then, I had to learn and make sure I done it right. So that's when preparing came. It come to things like learning to make sure I'm breathing from my diaphragm, do you know what I mean?
it's
Using
true.
up the whole stage, you know what I'm saying? Like, really, like, interacting. I'm trying to look people in their eyes, you know what I mean? Like, all these things going on, but it's like, yeah, you just really gotta, how can I just prepare for the worst is the best way to put it. And just, but my main thing is breathing through your diaphragm, because when you're breathing, like, just performing from up here, like, it just gets techie, your voice can go,
for real,
do you know what I mean?
You know,
Like,
when you're nervous, you
literally,
could
so
just
you
shake,
really gotta pattern yourself, but
it's true.
that's what happens though. That's what my thing is, like, I've had bad performances, but that's only made my better ones great. Do you know what I mean? To the whole nother level. So
definitely, man.
you definitely just learn, man. It's good that you got up and done it though, because I'm not gonna lie, my first performance, I didn't even do it, bro. Like, it was like, I'm surprised that I'm able to. Cause the last performance I've done was probably like that festival I done was like 20,000 people, but if someone had told me that when I couldn't even perform in front of 10 people, bro.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's just stages, innit? You gotta kind of appreciate every level you're at,
definitely.
and use every experience to help you get better still.
So you feel much more confident, like, to do a booking.
Like, now on the last one, yeah, like I just can't wait to get on now. Do you know what I mean? Before it was like, I don't know if I could do it, but now I can't wait. I've had a few like last couple months, but I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I've been a bit rusty. Do you know what I mean? Because this whole year has been nothing. It's been a bit rusty. It's not been how I wanted it to, and like one of them, everyone has to sit down. Do you know what I mean? It's not the same, innit? But hopefully when I come back and like when everything's able to come back, it can just be the same level it was. You know what I mean?
Definitely, man. And also I wanted to ask you as well, like, 'cause as I'm an artist as well, it's like the creative process sometimes is not how you want it to be, like, you know. So how do you like kind of deal with that, you know, like writer's block and all, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you deal with that?
Boy, don't be too hard on yourself. That's one. Cause you see, man, yeah, I say this, but I am hard on myself. Do you know what I mean, bro? And it's like you have so much expectations. You know what I'm saying? You might hear a sick beat and feel like, yeah, I need to jump on this, but bro, it just might not be the beat for you, bro. Do you know what I mean? From it happens, innit? So you gotta kind of just remember that you love this, innit?
Yeah, definitely.
And as much as you wanna blow, you gotta kind of just have in your mind that I wanna have fun with this. You know what I mean? There's songs that are gonna come to you and it's just gonna be fun. There's some songs you might just have to work hard, innit? Do you know what I mean? And it's gonna come out, but you just can't be hard on yourself. You gotta be patient with yourself. Don't like put mad deadlines on yourself as well. And just like for me recently, I just get a mic now and I just record. I don't even write anymore. Do you know what I mean? I literally just record until something comes. And like, bro, my logic be looking messy. You know what I mean? Cause I just have loads of like audios of just different takes and that. But once you find something, you know. You know what I mean?
That's good. Cause like with me, I'm a writer, innit? Like I can't freestyle for like I don't know. I find it hard.
It is hard.
So how do you like get your mind into that?
Do you know what? Yeah, like if you told me to lay a freestyle down, I'm gonna lay a dead freestyle. You know what I mean? And that's why I said earlier the comfort of it in your home, because you just can do it, innit? And like, I feel like, do you know what it is? Because of the producer I'm working with, he's really big on catching the right pockets And I feel like that's why I do freestyle. I might not say anything that's English, but
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out what fits, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what I feel like I try to do anyway when it comes to music. I'm just trying to fit the right pockets, and then the words might come and I might understand. So I don't know, it's just like a different way of doing it, but I used to write, so I understand writing. Your pen game is, you get me? It's important, it helps you. So I don't know, man. You just gotta be comfortable.
Comfortable
You know
with what you're doing, innit? Yeah, no, definitely, man. Any other questions?
I don't know either. Still, how many songs on the tape though?
I've got 7.
Okay.
Yeah. I wanted to make it like 6 or 5, but I think 7 is
7's nice though.
Yeah,
I got EP and it's like 9, but I wanted like 7, 8. But
yeah.
I don't know. I might still go back to 8. I don't know.
Yeah.
Man. It's hard, isn't it?
So like, again, like when you're making a project, like how do you, like, if you want to make a new project, like where do you start from? Like,
I don't have a. Do you know what it is? Yeah, with me, I feel like I make all different types of rap in it. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, Best Life isn't the only kind of sound that's on this tape. There's gonna be songs that might be like for girls. There's songs that are just slower, but it's just real bars, real rap all the way through. There's some songs where it's just like gas. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Obviously, still real rap, but a beat and everything. So with me, I'm always trying to make sure I hit every different pocket.
Yeah.
I'm not just trying to go with one in it. Do you know what I mean? So I don't pick which one. I let the producer just give me something, and if I like it, I go. But that's what it is. It's just about finding. That's what the end product. I have to have at least like 1 or 2 in each bracket for me that I think are strong.
Yeah, that's sick, man. And like, how important do you think it is to like have a team around you?
Oh, it's important, man. It's important. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, right now, for me, it's not the way I want it to be, but I understand the value of a team. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, the manager I had at the time, like, we're in a kind of, I don't know, but the manager I had, the things that she was able to pull from, man, I wasn't able to do. Do you know what I'm saying? And just to have that kind of support there, do you know what I mean? Just to have other members in the team be able to deliver stuff, and you could just concentrate on your music and how you want to portray yourself and stuff. And they got their own networks, you know what I'm saying? So they got, like, she was able to find venues for my EP launch party, for my headline show. She was able to conversate with the people at the festivals and that, make sure that when it comes to getting paid and that, it's the right amount, and do you know what I mean? And making sure that sometimes you might not be able to sell yourself as well as someone else can. Do you know what I mean? Some people have got a better skill at selling, do you know what I mean? And once you have that kind of team around you, it makes your job so much easier, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good, man. So like, did they bump into you? Did you look out for them?
Do you
like,
know
how
what?
did it?
Yeah, see, it was just natural, like, it was just all friends and family that all just had a vision that they wanted to do. But I don't know, man, like, I don't know, it's hard, isn't it? Because there's sometimes you just wish you could just go online and just be like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Would you say you have a team?
Not really. I'll say I have people that are quite supportive, but like, in terms of like a team, like doing stuff, nah, not really.
See, that's why it's take, because I'm kind of in a similar position now, innit? Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, how do you, because that came so organically, how do you now, knowing what you need, going out and find it?
Exactly,
do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Which is techie, innit? So I haven't got the answer to that, unfortunately, you know what I mean?
No, it's cool, man.
Hopefully one day, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, it's good, like, to just hear like your experience and stuff like that as well. Definitely helps.
Can we blow on each other somewhere until we see the planet on fire? The smoke is just a fog, but grey only covers. The brain is not asleep, it burns in the eyelids. Just the time for another of our sleepless nights on the bridge to the stars, and trying to stop the ink from starving the old page, then bringing down the moon to wake up the lost kid. together. Or maybe it's just a two feels slightly better. If no one in the end looks after the other, as long as they have all the drugs to shut down and harness. I'm collecting the courage to lead another praise your heart when you need to scream louder. Now the shame is hard to see. Now the shame is hard to see. Can we blow on each other somewhere until we see the planet on fire? Just the time for another of our sleepless nights on the bridge to the stars, and trying to stop the ink from starving the old bitch, then bringing down the moon to wake up the lost kid.
I've known you for a while now.
Yes.
We are friends. And can you introduce yourself, though, to us as a people?
So it's a really difficult question. I am, first of all, my name is Soucis. I am an artist, singer-songwriter and producer living in London. And I obviously do music. I'm not sure what genre, but I must say my background is both classical music and jazz. And I love pop music and R&B. So I try to put whatever I've learned in my life into pop and alternative R&B. And so I love singing, writing, composing, producing, and in my free time I paint and read.
Lovely. That's beautiful. I feel like you also have like Italian influences in your music.
Yeah, definitely. I forgot to say one important thing is that I'm Italian. I moved to London to do music. But yes, I have mixed heritage, so I'm Italo-Congolese. And I really like to bring that part of my identity into music. I always say the reason why I picked guitar is because Congolese music is really guitar-based, and that really reminds me of my childhood and all of the parties with my aunties in Italy. But also, I love classic Italian songwriting as well, and I try to put those images, those very powerful images from Italian music into my lyrics in English. And there's a lot of introspection as well in Italian music, which I really love. I think we're really sensitive. We're a really sensitive group of people, and I like that about it.
So, talking about the music industry, do you think the music industry lacks in diversity, especially when it comes to Black female artists?
I think it's a tough question because it's really difficult to pinpoint something like that. But I definitely feel like there's not enough of me out there. And representation is a very powerful tool, and we need to use it to make sure that more people like me take the courage to do what they love, despite what society has been telling us for a long while. So one of the biggest problems that I'm seeing at the moment is that being a female artist and being Black sometimes puts on me labels that I'm not aware of. It's being this identity in the music industry is a label that I haven't chosen, and there's so many messages that come before what I actually want to say. And one thing that I tend to express quite a lot is making sure that I am in charge of what I'm delivering and how I'm delivering it, and how I represent myself without getting too attached with what the industry thinks I am. So on a practical level, being a female Black artist sometimes, and being a singer as well, sometimes makes people feel that I am a soul artist,
misrepresented.
Yeah, you know, it's just a figure in front of me. You know, I listen to rock, I listen to indie, I listen to classical music, jazz. I listen to every sort of music, and I love every sort of music. And I wouldn't want people to assume that because I am myself, I would only do one genre of music. You know, it's just reductive.
Yeah, just being yourself and making what makes you feel happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess, when did you start making music? When did you start making music?
There's like two parallel things. So I think I was born a musician, and my mother told me that I started singing before I could even speak. So when I was 4, she put me into a classical choir, and that's how I started my training as a classical singer. And then I never really committed to the music career because it wasn't really an option where I was living in Italy, and it wasn't really taken seriously. So I always considered it a hobby and some sort of dream of mine, and I started little by little. When I was growing into a teenager, I started listening to R&B quite a lot, and I would spend time in the choir and then go to school, and then when I had free time I would just sing my R&B tunes. So it was this sort of universe for me. And then when the time came to make a decision, one of those important decisions where you have to decide what you're going to be in your life professionally, I decided to take this leap of faith, because as a coincidence, I met a group of people with whom I used to play that knew some other people that were studying music, contemporary music and jazz, and I never thought that was possible. So just seeing that education around music was taken seriously somewhere gave me the courage to actually pursue music as a career for myself. And that's how I decided to move out of my country and start studying music.
I hear that because, like, in Italy, I guess, I'm Sicilian as well, but Italian.
Yes.
So
Sicilian, the Sicilian culture is so strong.
You have to say it. Like, Sicilian. Like, there, the only musical options you get really is like academically is
classical training.
Classical, like the conservatory.
Mostly. Yeah.
Yeah, so I hear that. What advice would you give to young black females entering the industry now?
I think the most powerful thing that I can say right now is make sure you represent yourself and don't accept any sort of label that doesn't come from you. And if that requires a bit more time for you to figure that out, it's perfectly fine. And I don't think we should buy into this standard idea of what an artist should do and in which span of time we should do it. It can take a whole lifetime to figure out who you are. And when you're subjected to so much discrimination and stereotypes, it can get even harder. So make sure you stick to yourself and you have a strong team of people that knows who you are and that will accept your personal changes in the industry, because that's important. Being flexible, but also being firm on who you are and who you want to be and what are your plans for the future.
Yeah. That's beautiful. So you kind of answered one of the other questions I had was, have you ever been stereotyped or judged by being a black female?
I think so, I'm not always aware of that. I know that there's been times where I've been sad because I understand how heavy it is to have to deal with what people think about you. I think in general, for someone like me to enter the industry at this stage, there's a lot of comparisons going on, which I don't see when it comes to white male artists. There can be 1,000 white male artists in a label, but there can only be 3 black females, because you look too similar to each other, because you do something that is too similar to each other. And I'm like, why are you investigating so much into the identity of someone that has so much privilege, and therefore they're more dynamic, and you're not putting the same effort into someone that doesn't have that kind of privilege, which should be even more important? And that's exactly how systemic racism unfolds in the music industry. That's basically 101. I've been compared to so many artists that I love, because because we look alike for people, It's
maybe not even artistically, just
just like
aesthetically.
Even just the shade of your color makes people think that you are more similar to someone than another person. It's a very complicated colorism, it's very complicated, but I don't let these things discourage me. I actually take them as a challenge for myself to just investigate more on my personal identity and get more in depth with that, so I never get lazy with it, which I think is only good for me as an artist.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Do you feel like you've ever had to refrain yourself from saying things, from saying things or touching certain subjects because it might jeopardize, I guess, to some extent your career artistically, your person,
I feel like you always kind of need to ponder everything you say in this industry. You always need to make sure it's the right time for you and it's the right word for the right audience. And sometimes I'm always afraid of getting overwhelmed with thinking too much about what other people will think about me. But I'm really lucky that I set up a standard for myself where my music is really honest and really out there. It's really intimate and personal. Which is basically the most important thing. The music comes first. So whenever you listen to my music, you know who I am. And I feel like there's some things that, my audience will know better than even my parents. And I'm happy with that. I'm happy that people will know my truth through my music, because that's what I honestly think I was born for. So I'm just going to try and put everything I can there. I never refrain myself from saying anything when I write a song. So that's my
just for
first rule.
Expression, say what you feel in that moment, and yeah, that's really beautiful. Well, in what ways would you suggest people deal with racial discrimination inside the music industry? Like, do you have any experiences that you'd like to speak about that you'd feel comfortable speaking about?
Yeah. I'm trying to think about something specific.
Or even in general as well, I guess.
I think in general, not only I'm a black female artist, but I'm also an immigrant. So that comes into the whole thing. And I know you've been talking about queerness in this podcast, and I also define myself as queer, which is something that I have struggled with for a while. So all of these things come into this spot where you really need to make sure you put them out there when you feel comfortable with, because the risk is to be hurt. Even like being an immigrant for me was a big thing, because at the very beginning I was really afraid of saying that I was Italian. I was actually feeling ashamed of saying that I was an immigrant, which is something, no filter, that's what it is. But I was really self-conscious about my accent. I was self-conscious about people judging me and not listening to me, or just, when people pick up an accent and then they make you notice that you have an accent, the first thing that my first reaction is, are you actually listening to me, or are you actually listening to my accent?
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing that happens, And then there's another label coming in, and I identify with this. So are you actually looking at how I define myself, or are you actually listening to myself? So I always had this kind of tension of, I'm afraid I'm going to be discriminated for who I am, because I found myself in a vulnerable position as an individual and musician. I never actively received any sort of threat, or physical or psychological, but I I did see the power dynamic happening once people got aware that I was an immigrant, or, you know, and also you're a female, you're black. You do understand in some places where you stand in the room. It's just very subtle, but you kind of need to be strong and being confident on who you are and how much is your value. And eventually you just go home and cry it out, and you build up on top of that. But I had a few times where, you know, after meetings, I just went home and I cried, and I was like, why am I even doing this? You know, why am I speaking to these people? I feel so stupid. I feel like I can't speak properly, or like I can't communicate what I feel, or, you know, there's a lot of these things coming into the conversation. Yeah,
I fully understand that because, as you know, I did my secondary school in Sicily, and I had a bit of a similar experience. Although my accent was perfect.
Yeah,
and,
you've
you
got
know,
a perfect
yeah.
Italian accent, actually. Even dialect is great.
The problem was culturally. I culturally didn't understand what the power dynamics that were happening in so whenever you move to, so I just feel like whenever you move to somewhere new, there's always a bit of like doubt, and if someone is listening, because a lot of the time some people aren't actually listening, like
it's like it's this thing of being objectified somehow. It feels like you are a bit of an alien because people are trying to understand what you are instead of who you are. Because of, you know, sometimes you're going to have problems communicating what you think, and sometimes it's going to be things lost in translation. So even the fact that, you know, if I hang out with a bunch of people, like, you know, people that were born and raised in the UK, and I might not be able to pick up on some jokes or some movie quotes because I've seen those things in Italian, or because, you know, life is different for everyone. That's also something that it's not, this is nothing related to discrimination, but that's something that could make me feel less entitled to be in a space compared to other people. But yeah, you know, that's life. I guess this is what I chose to be my challenge, and this is what you chose to be your challenge at that stage of your life. And I'm happy to learn from that, and I'm happy to be sensitive about it, because when I'm actively discriminated for these reasons, I pick it up, and I'm happy I'm able to see that.
Yeah. Having a sharp eye and just knowing how, I guess it comes with protecting yourself, I guess, to some, like, yeah, but not to some extent, it does come with protecting yourself.
Definitely.
How can artists ensure ethnic mobility in the music industry?
Interesting. I have a very practical advice would be bring your family with you. First of all, it doesn't matter what color you are, who you are, what's your ethnicity. I just feel like if you're aware there is a minority or there is a group of people without your privilege, because we're all privileged in a way, you know, if we put it on a relative plate. But if you are aware of your privilege, make sure that other people around you that don't have the same privilege get the opportunities that you're getting. And if you are a band leader, or you are an artist like me and you need to pick people for your band, you know, just make sure you keep in mind those things and you give people actual opportunities. Because there's nothing worse than having this small group of people sharing the benefits of being rich and famous, and then, you know, all the other people just being outside of this bubble. And I guess studying and putting out some more ideas. Like, every idea is valid. I feel like a lot of people were afraid of speaking in this period because they thought their ideas were invalid, and I feel like every single idea needs to be considered as part of the conversation because it comes from a specific sensitivity of one person. So trying to have conversations about people's ideas and being really open to incorporate these ideas into your work environment is very important. Listening to people, listening to other people's experiences, even though we don't understand them.
Everybody's emotions are valid and
have
some kind of reasoning behind them. So
I think I've read this article that a friend sent me called the limits of empathy that was so interesting. It was about the fact that nowadays our society is so egocentric that we kind of relate to situations or help certain people just if we ourselves empathize with the cause, and so we put ourselves in the center of the matter, and then that becomes some sort of selection that you make amongst things that you want to empathize with, whereas if we try to use a bit more sympathy in our everyday life, maybe we would also understand that we don't need to be the protagonist to actually relate to people, help them or relieve them from their pain. So that's something that I haven't seen being developed these days, and I'm trying to practice myself. I don't need to understand everything to make sure people around me are feeling well.
Yeah. It's just maybe even just a hand on the shoulder, I guess, is what people need sometimes. Because we can't. I don't think we can understand every human that there is. I mean, especially I'm a white woman, so I definitely can't. I mean, I can empathize with black women, but I don't know what it means. So I think I'll always do my best to be as sensible as possible and try to understand as much as possible, and always read, listen to podcasts, and inform myself about cultures and the history behind cultures and geopolitics and all these things that are extremely important for youth to have an understanding of where we are in the world and why people
live the way they live.
But then it's super important to then connect that to the fact that we are all human. So even though I'm a white woman living in London that was raised in da-da-da, so there might be you're a black woman raised in Italy that came to, there's certain things, but then we're also human. So there always needs to be some kind of connection. I wish these kind of things were taught a bit more in schools. And
that's essential. I feel like children, we as young people are the present and the future, and children need to be brought into this conversation as early as possible, because we are the ones that put prejudice in the head of children. So we need to make sure we protect them from a mentality that now is it's obsolete. I don't see why certain things I don't understand why certain things are still happening, but I feel like progress on that level should be faster if people would inform themselves properly.
Yeah, if people had the the way, like if people were informed that they can inform themselves, and so just schools, I think
education, definitely.
And then we also live in a generation where, like, to inform yourself, you just need to open Google, really, I think.
It's not even the safest place on earth.
And it's not even the safest place, yes.
It's so true. It's really difficult for a person nowadays to get the right information. I was asking this to a politician that I was interviewing, actually, a few months ago, a politician from Italy, and she was the first black mayor running for mayor in the city of Florence. And I was asking her, how can we actually inform ourselves properly? Like, what are the sources of information that we can trust nowadays? And she was stressing on the fact that we really need to dig deeper into what are the sources of any sort of news that we find out. Even Google will have an algorithm connected to you as a person. So if you got like 6 different options, never go for the first one, or like if you open the first one, double check on the source. Is this a reliable one? Especially, if you talk about science, you want to know something about science, what's the source of this,
Yeah, where's it coming from? Who's saying this? Why are they saying this?
Exactly. So do your research.
Definitely.
But that's the key. Yeah.
Definitely. Maybe you can tell me later, or tell me now. Who's the politician in Florence?
She's called Antonella Bundu.
Antonella Bundu. I'll look her up. I didn't know this. I'll look it up, definitely.
She's an amazing woman.
What are your plans for the rest of the year as an artist? Do you have any new music coming out?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've just released a single. It's called Air, so it's out everywhere. I'm really excited for you to hear it if you're listening to this podcast
tune
right now.
Absolutely banging. Like,
Thank you so much. And I'm really happy. I wrote this song with a friend of mine, Davide Shorty. So he's an amazing producer and rapper and artist from Italy, and we both live in London, so it was nice to do this.
Bro.
Yes. Yeah, we know each other. You know, this is a family. And then I'm releasing an EP. So I'm really excited about this EP. It's going to be called Chapter 1 Changes. This is the first time I'm actually announcing this. It's about making changes in your life and surviving trauma mostly, and getting out of the cage of the trauma and discovering who you are, and letting go of a lot of chains related to your personal trauma. So this is my plan for this year and next year. And hopefully there's going to be more music coming out. I think a couple more singles before the end of the year.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for this lovely interview.
Where can we find your music?
Yes, that's very important. Business mind.
Yep.
So everywhere you can find me at Soucis Music. And Soucis is spelled SANSSOUCIS, so that you don't get it wrong. Soucis Music everywhere, and check my profile on
Everybody
social media.
go follow her. Go follow her YouTube, her Instagram, her Spotify.
Everywhere.
iTunes, everywhere. Go follow, go spread love, support. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So we've had time to kind of chat and get to know each other.
Yeah.
But for the people who haven't heard about you, would you like to explain kind of what you do and the music you make?
Yeah, hi guys, I'm Aaron Porter. I'm a singer-songwriter, living in North London for a while now. Just really figuring out, the journey as a music artist, living in London, gay artist, proud. Just really figuring out that. Like, I've been working on a new sound recently, just because that's just naturally as you grow through your music, obviously things change.
Yeah.
And it's just been navigating music through 2020, which is like not the easiest thing to do, but we push forward.
We strive and prosper.
Exactly. Strive and prosper, exactly.
So I say, as an artist, what would you say?
Go on.
Sorry. So how would you feel like you've been represented in the media, or the LGBTQ community has been represented in the music industry?
Yeah, I mean, for the LGBTQ plus bracket, I feel like there's an element of us that are being more seen. Obviously, we've got like artists that have done very well and are still doing very well, and I'm so like proud that that's happening, and I feel like that's been great that that's been in motion. And obviously you look back in history and you see amazing like gay artists or people that were obviously gay, maybe even not in out, or you have like your George Michaels, which obviously like did so well. And there's such an element of like obviously just being a bit like, how did they do it? How did they do it? Because there's still such a stigma towards it, and we know anybody out there knows that there's a stigma towards gay artists in regards to like, if there's like a artist that's on that's, if a male is singing about another male, there's a lot of people out there that won't be happy to listen to that music. So it's just obvious to see that there is a stigma towards it, like a negative stigma for some people. But obviously there are artists that do make it through. I think obviously a lot of it can be, how do you say, like, I want to say like whitewashed, but I want to say heteronormative. It's been a bit like washed with the heteronormative like storylines and things like that, and maybe they haven't been using terms of like sex in their lyrics. But for me, coming into the industry, I was very much like, I was writing music before for a while, and then I realized that I was doing all the things of like taking away my sexuality in my music and just trying to be like, I want to be, I want to be open to everyone. I want everyone to kind of like it. But then I was like, do you know what? If I'm planning on being an artist and I want to be an authentic artist.
Yeah,
I
of
want to be
course.
true. So it felt right to me to, you know, release with a very gay anthem, which actually probably was one of my best singles.
Yeah.
And it was called Boy, and I thought it was just the right thing. It really, the song is about me expressing who I am freely. So like the main lyric is, I want to be myself for you tonight. And it's just
Yeah.
like, that's what I wanted to show people. I wanted to show that
Yeah.
I wasn't fearful of being me.
Yeah, so.
You know, because you spend a lot of your life as a gay man being like, you know, I'm gay, but that's not who that's not me.
Yeah, trying to prove
But
a point
actually,
almost.
you know, it is a huge part of who you are, and
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for all the things that being gay has given me in regards to experiences and the people that I've met and the creative hub that I have around me in
Yeah.
my queer community is like amazing. So we like support each other, but there definitely is a stigma, and it definitely is harder.
Of course.
Yeah.
So from that, would you say there's been certain things you've had to refrain from saying or refrain from doing just to, you know, in fear of hindering your image almost?
Yeah, well, there's definitely moments where I'm like, can I do that?
Yeah.
Can I do this? Or there'll be something like, you know, someone will maybe prompt me in reminding the people that I really want the money from.
Yeah.
In regards to like, I'd love like to get like, you know, there's been moments in my life where I'm like, oh no, I don't want a record deal. I want to do it all independent. Right now, I'm like, give me the money. Give me the money. But the people that are giving you the money often are white cis men behind a desk.
Yeah.
So me being in a thong on my Instagram, prancing around, isn't necessarily going to be what they
Of course.
will want to see.
Yeah.
So there is moments that I have in myself where I go, sometimes you just quickly second guess, but because I've started off so honest about who I am, I'm not going to start now taking it back.
Did you find that hard to be honest with yourself? Because I think it's a beautiful thing for someone to love themselves and be comfortable with who they are and kind of forget about trying to, you know, adhere to everyone else and what they think. Was it hard to initially be like that and just say, you know what, forget what you're saying, I'm going to be me?
Yeah, do you know what? Like it is, and I think we can commend anyone for alleviating themselves from the stress of having to be the same as everyone else. For me, I've been lucky having the people around me that have always pushed me to be who I am.
Yeah.
You know, like I have been really lucky for that. So it was difficult for me to get over myself, but I realized it wasn't as difficult for the people around me. So as soon as you realize actually people are for you, the people that you love are for you, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah.
And once you just get over it yourself, and if you decide something yourself and you're strong in that, then the people around you can't
Nothing to
dispute
take
it.
away from that,
Yeah,
of course.
there's nothing that they can say.
Yeah, I think just having a strong head on your shoulders to know, you know, what to do or how to be with yourself and not just let in because that's what everyone expects you to do.
Exactly.
I think,
and it's also having a line. It's not just going, okay, so I'm going to be this really queer artist, so I'm not now going to video myself doing this and that, like go completely off the wall. If you're being authentic and true, then it's not ever going to look that bad.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what I mean? If you're just doing it to put on a massive show and cause a scene, then you know things might come of it.
Yeah.
Like things, it might not be like as a positive experience.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
But I think if it's just it feels true and authentic to you, then you have to go with it. Because if you look back at your life and you go, oh, I just held back. And to be honest, like I have had to, I when I first started doing music, I did try, like I said a minute ago, I did like alleviate myself from like writing about who I was talking about, this and that. And it was just a waste of time.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it wasn't like, obviously you learn through your journey, but now I'm just pleased that I just don't have to consider that anymore.
Of course.
Do you know what
So
I
I
mean?
guess from your journey and learning everything, what's the kind of advice, if there's any, to give to a up and coming artist in that vein who doesn't feel like they're fully accepted or feels like they have to change themselves to fit in?
I mean, I think for anybody, even as not an artist, if you feel something true and it resonates with you and you can't think about anything else and you know that that's just the truth, then, you know, I believe that you should feel comfortable in that and speak on that. I can't say that that's necessarily going to bring you success always. Like, there's a lot of honest, beautiful people out there that, you know, will always be pushed to the sidelines. So, you know, that's the harsh truth.
Yeah.
But I think for you to be happy with yourself, to go home every day with yourself, knowing that you've been honest and true to what you believe,
Yeah.
I think there's no other answer.
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
all you can
But
do.
I can't say, sadly, I can't say that it's going to give you the biggest career out there.
Nah,
Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of people that are very manufactured and told to say this, and that,
Of course.
and that's how they get that big.
Yeah.
So it's not. They don't necessarily go hand in hand,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah.
But I think the public are getting to understand the beauty of authenticity.
Yeah.
And starting to work out the difference between what's real and what's not.
Yeah, of
Because
course.
for so long we can be so fooled. And you can look back at like artists that we adore as kids
Yeah.
that we thought was them, and now maybe we're realizing, oh, actually they didn't actually write a single song of their
Yeah,
careers. Like
yeah.
our pop heroes, as like, you know, way back when, they didn't write any of their music, but in your mind you just think that's all them.
Yeah.
And then you become an artist yourself and you're like, you know, you're creating all your stuff.
Mm.
So yeah, it's like it's hard, but I think just like I said, just be honest with yourself and love who you are. Just keep going.
I think that's the most important thing. Like, for me as an artist as well, like actually listening to music and being in love with it, that matters more than, you know, any show I can think of or anything like that. There was even one moment, I've got a little story for you, where
Go on, tell me.
I hadn't had headphones for a very long time. I broke my headphones, and I was just listening to music from my phone, and it wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
And I actually got a pair of headphones, and I put it on, and I started to cry. Because the feeling of the music in my ear, and I could just hear it every layer. I think that's beautiful. So yeah, I think being comfortable with yourself and as an artist, that you've just got to think about that more than any other. Do I fit in here? Do I fit in there? So I think that's
Totally.
the best thing.
And let the music heal you
Music
in that
speak,
way.
of
Do you know
course,
what I mean?
yes.
If, like, you need your headphones, you're always gonna have your headphones. Do you know what I mean? Don't, like, yeah, for sure.
Now I've even got backups for backups.
Yes.
Yeah. So kind of touching back on the first point about the representation in the music industry, do you feel like you're kind of misrepresented with everything that's out there, rather than, you know, this person's out there helping the community? Are they really touching the subjects they should be, or really helping?
I feel like there's an element of like within being LGBT or Q plus the whole community, there is an element of the general public thinking that we're going to be a certain way and we're going to react a certain way, and it's always going to be the same, and it's just so far from the truth. So I feel like we're misrepresented in regards to like a lot of the people that you see in the media that are queer will be kind of exactly a carbon copy of what people think that is, rather than actually understanding that there's so much more than that. But also I can look at like some of my work and I go, you know, I can be seen as quite femme, I can be seen as quite masculine, I'm quite androgynous in the way that I am. But then I do look at some of my videos, for example, and go, oh, I was really like mostly femme throughout that. Whereas actually day to day, that's not necessarily the case. So sometimes I feel like as artists, when we get the opportunity to do our pop star thing, we do our pop star thing, and then there's a moment where you're a bit like, oh, did I represented myself what I wanted to, but like, did I truly show? Did I let them see who I am just day to day too?
Yeah.
So I think, but all in all, I do think we're misrepresented and underrepresented for sure. Like, because really, queer culture is like an absolute gag and is really what's giving all the things that are getting popular right now are based on queer culture, come from like black queer culture, and it is being appropriated and it is being stolen. I understand that that's going to happen because we're always going to take from the best things.
Yeah, of course.
Like that's how it's going to go. But for sure, that's the case. Yeah.
So as an artist now, do you feel like is an extra pressure to kind of, you know, be different or almost, I don't know how to phrase this.
just like stand out in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's a pressure? You're not just an artist now.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to make sure everyone's catered for. You've got to make sure you're speaking for the LGBTQ plus
Yeah.
community. Do you ever get to the point where it's like, I just want to make music?
Yeah.
How do you take that?
Totally. Like I can remember one interview I had. I said, you know, I'd love to be that role model.
Yeah.
And then like from that, everything. Aaron Porter. Wants to be the role model or wants this and that, and you know, like I do some things that I wouldn't necessarily want some kids to be going out doing, like, you know, I'm no angel, but it is funny how, you know, every little thing you say gets taken, even like not even like, obviously that's not a negative thing, people weren't trying to say that in any sort of way, it was my own words, but it is just so interesting how people can take what you say and just use it for you all the time, even if it's just like something, you know, just something you say, like, but then you do something bad and they're like, oh, the apparent role model.
They will still stigmatize you that.
Yeah, not that that's actually ever happened, but in my mind I'm like, oh my god, they can see me now.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what I mean? So there's that element of you kind of feeling like you do have to be all the things that you say you're going to be, or you do all the things, you know, like that. Like I'm like, okay, so I've said that now, and people are writing about that all the time. So I've got to be this role model all the time. But the reality is, like, things change, people change.
Yeah, of course.
Also, just like you can't always be completely consistent in how you're feeling. Like a different interview, it could have the same interview on a completely different day and have a completely different answer.
Yeah, of course.
And that's like, again, quite hard for people to like swallow in regards to just being like, they're human beings. We're not just we all make mistakes, we all make mistakes, but we also just like, we're just human. You know what I mean? We can't always be one thing for people. But what were you saying? You were saying, do you
feel any stress
about,
rather than being an artist, you're kind of taken out of being an artist and you've got to think about these different things rather than the love of music?
Yeah, and exactly. Yeah, it does. It can at times feel stressful. I feel like, for me, I do like all those elements of things in regards to like it not just being, I don't necessarily just consider myself like just a singer.
Yeah.
I like love all the visual aspects. I love the interviews. I love doing things like this. I love like this. So for me, I do like all those things. I do hate the pressure of having to be like, okay, so I have to build up this. No, I love my community. I love always building up like my little gays. Do you know what I mean? Like that's like that, I love that, but there is an element of just being like, okay, we don't need to just be doing this just because it's Pride. Yeah. Or we don't need to just, do you know what I mean? We can just have I'd be happy to have the conversation more. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But there's certain elements of things that are just a bit like, we should be doing this all the time. You know what it's like.
Yeah, of course. You don't just want to be given a limelight. You want to be, seen in that regard all the time.
Yeah. Like if you want to discuss that, if you want to discuss that with me, let's do it all the time. Let's keep it a conversation going and actually make change from it,
So I guess it's more so of a consistent level rather than there having to be a special occasion.
Yeah.
In that way, it's almost like there's a light shone on you rather than we're all aligned.
And it's like no shade on it, because obviously we're kind of doing it now in regards to in regards to like obviously highlighting things around the time that it needs to, and that's absolutely important. And I think that's the right thing to do. But there is a time where it's just like, well, let's do it. Let's keep the conversation going. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. Exactly.
I hear that. So what have we got next from you, music-wise? And
so I've been working on a new song. I've like had this year, obviously lockdown, to really think about, and this is actually some advice maybe for young artists out there. I've had some real time to really think about the things that make me the happiest, the things that make me special, the things that I do when I get the most, say, attention, or just the thing that makes me feel right. So I could put all those things in place. Like, and I was away on holiday for a while, so I just like got to write down all the things that I love, all the music that I love, all the like just everything that makes me feel good. And I looked at it and I kind of figured out all the things that I should have been doing sooner. I feel like there's a lot of music that I've got that I was reflecting the music that was out at the time. and I wasn't just doing the things that made me feel good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I've had some time to think about that, and I like the music's getting a lot more sexual, a lot like it's almost like I want to say there's like a futuristic Sade in there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's where I'm feeling empowered. This almost like private dancer meets, it
I
meets
like
like trap.
Yeah.
So there's like, it's all coming, and it's all still very much in the makings in regards to just like it's tough to stay busy in music at this point.
Of course. But
it's all coming, and thank you to the people that are bearing with me for that.
Yeah.
But it's all coming, and it's all a journey, and it's just gonna get better for
Love
sure.
to hear that. Love to hear that.
Yeah.
So you've got your stuff on YouTube, right? Or all streaming platforms?
All streaming platforms. You can hear all of it anywhere.
Great.
Yeah, my EP called Expectations, which was out over the last couple of years, really. Yeah.
Okay, we'll make sure you guys listen to that.
Yeah, have a listen, guys. And give me a follow on Instagram.
Of course.
Because most of my things are on Instagram. Well, it's my favourite platform.
Yeah.
So it's at just Aaron Porter.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, it was nice talking to you.
And you, babe.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me.
Always.